was a study coming, like it came out, I think, a few days ago. It was like Howard 2025 physical activity is directly associated with total energy expenditure without evidence of constraint on compensation. Well, it looked like people are showing this study, throwing it around as a proof of invalidating the constrained energy model. Do you have any comments on that? Did you get a chance to read that study?
Whenever I see a paper or I hear about a paper indicating, that the constrained expenditure model is, broken or something, as you can kind of tell from what I've said so far, my first thing is, oh, did you find somebody who's maintaining consistent energy expenditure in the long term that seems to be above that kind of metabolic ceiling? At the end of the day, the main concept, especially if you look at more recent papers discussing the constrained model, there has to be a reason for constraint to be occurring, right? Which would either mean you're doing very extreme, very, very, very high levels of physical activity, or you're doing heightened physical activity in the context of dietary restriction. If this is an energy conservation tool, it really wouldn't make sense to say, like, if you go from being fairly sedentary to average physical activity level and you're eating plenty of calories, we would expect no reason that there would be a major energy constraint, because there's no energy related pressures on trying to conserve energy there. So the first thing I did when I heard about that paper was I was like, cool, let's look at the figures and see if there's anybody who is really pushing that limit of 2.5 times basal metabolic rate in terms of their metabolic scope. And looking at this paper, it doesn't look like there's a single individual above 2.5. And there's if you look at the four highest values in terms of metabolic scope, oddly enough, they're like essentially lined up directly on 2.5, which is really, really fascinating. So, I think one of the biggest challenges with doing work on the constrained energy expenditure model is that